generation before us, remembering for generations to come. The History Channel, where the past comes alive.
Hello, I'm Roger Mudd. Welcome to the History Channel. If you've ever skied at Vail in Colorado, you are probably familiar with one of the runs called Riva Ridge. It was given that name not by one of America's explorers or trappers, but by a soldier from the U.S. Army's 10th Mountain Division who helped develop the resort after World War II. He gave it that name in honor of a critical battle he and his comrades of the 10th had fought in the Apennine Mountains north of Florence as they tried to break through the Germans' Gothic line across Italy. The 10th, the last U.S. unit to be sent to Europe, was trained on skis, but once they got into combat, the skis came off. Join us now as the History Channel presents Winter Warriors.
They were part of an experiment. The Army rounded up the country's best skiers and rock climbers to beat Hitler at his own game in the mountains of Europe. Many top generals said it would never work. But the mountain troops became legends of World War II, climbing the unclimbable to help smash the German line on the way to victory in Italy. And their legend didn't end on the battlefield. In peacetime, mountain troops revolutionized American outdoor life. Some of them launched the modern ski industry. Others led the conservation movement, helping to preserve the American wilderness. This is the story of a unique band of men, the 10th Mountain Division. Bosnia, at the turn of the millennium, soldiers from the U.S. Army's 10th Division patrol the urban battlefield as peacekeepers. Today's 10th Division is the most deployed in the Army. It's often the first unit sent to the world's trouble spots, like Somalia and Haiti. The division is following a tradition set by its predecessors in World War II, when the 10th Division became a legend on the front lines. In the 1940s, the 10th Division was in a class of its own. They were the elite ski troops, trained exclusively for mountain warfare. But their legend very nearly ended before it even had a chance to begin. At first, the Army didn't want a specialized mountain unit. As far as it was concerned, soldiers were for marching, not skiing. In Europe, skiing had been an important part of both civilian and military life for centuries. But in America, it was not.
Skiing in those late 30s, early 40s really was still kind of a rare sport. And when I went away to college my freshman year, I think there were probably 8 or 10 guys in the whole college who did some skiing.
The value of ski troops soon became apparent in the war in Europe. Finland's ski units defended brilliantly against the invading Russians. The Finns ambushed Russian convoys in the forests, destroyed them with artillery, then made fast getaways across the snow.
The Finns really did a job on the Russians. So suddenly people began to say, what would happen if we were invaded? If someone landed in New England, what would happen? If someone were to land up in the Alaska area, what would happen? Are we ready to do it? We weren't.
The Germans began the war well prepared for Alpine combat. They had several specialist divisions. In contrast, America in 1940 had none. The man who set out to change that was Charles Minnie Dole, founder of the National Ski Patrol. He pestered Washington to create a mountain unit, but it was a tough sell.
There was great resistance because we had divisions to train. There wasn't equipment for regular divisions. And the idea of having a special new division did not find support.
But events in Europe soon changed Washington's thinking. In 1941, the Italians sent unprepared troops into the Albanian mountains and lost 25,000 men. The U.S. Army got the hint. In November 1941, it activated its first ever mountain unit, the 87th Infantry Regiment. It was an all-volunteer regiment, and there were plenty of volunteers after Japan bombed Pearl Harbor in December 1941. The Army wanted mountain men of all kinds, skiers, climbers, trappers, and woodsmen. It asked Minnie Dole's National Ski Patrol to find them, the only time a civilian group has ever been authorized to recruit for the Army. Within weeks, the Ski Patrol received 15,000 applications.
You looked at the mountain troops and said, ooh, that's romantic. We knew how to ski, so we figured, hey, you know, this is the way we want to fight. We couldn't wait. We were afraid the war would be over before we had a chance to get into it.
It looked like they could make the Army into fun. So I applied to the National Ski Patrol, and I still have the postcard by which they accepted me. Penny postcard that came to my house and told me when I was inducted, which I volunteered for induction on my 18th birthday, showed on the postcard, and I would then be assigned to the 10th Mountain Division.
The new outfit attracted many of the top skiers from around the country. There was Olympic medalist Robert Livermore, Walter Prager, the ski coach at Dartmouth, and John Litchfield, who qualified for the 1940 Winter Olympics as a ski jumper.
Most everybody who liked to ski volunteered or found themselves, for whatever reason, in the 10th Mountain Division, so you were seeing a lot of your old buddies from previous years.
From the beginning, the troops had a special camaraderie born of the mountains. They wrote and recorded their own skiing songs.
Early in the morning before the break of day, he handed me a 5-note and with the deed to say,
Hundreds of European refugees joined the 10th, keen for the chance to return and fight the Nazis. They included Rupert von Trapp and his brother Werner, whose family had only recently escaped from Austria. Their family story would become famous in the sound of music. Some of Europe's best skiers joined up. Norwegian-born Torger Tokel had recently set the American ski jump record. And Friedel Pfeiffer had been a ski champion in Austria.
But they came in and taught the Americans the techniques that they had. And it was kind of fun to see expert skiers, really expert mountain men out there working, demonstrating how you did this and how you did that, what you didn't do.
And they brought to the division more than just their skiing ability. They brought to the division an understanding of some of the problems that we were facing in Europe.
And they really had a patriotic drive. They really wanted to help America. And they were really grateful for what was happening. And they were good soldiers.
The ski troops had an unusually high proportion of college men. Skiing was a rich man's sport. The press often called the mountain unit elite, a concept the men themselves did not completely reject.
I don't care what anybody says, we were a group of quite intelligent men. And that created a spirit. And I don't like the word elite, but we were different.
Ego. We thought we could do anything. We had a great deal of self-confidence. Based on what we had gone through in our training, we really thought that nothing could stop us.
The new ski regiment made its first camp in Washington State. There was training on Mount Rainier, which rises more than 14,000 feet. A cluster of huts the men built at 8,000 feet was the highest Army encampment in the world.
First of all, there was deep, deep snow. And I could ski right up to my third-story window and plant the skis.